Good afternoon. Today is Mental Health Action Day. We're here with our Director of Counseling Services, Dr. Chantel Phoenix Martin,
Hello.
for a brief conversation on what you can do to take action. So what is it important for us to have this conversation today?
Well, first of all, May is the month of mental health awareness, as well as we want to make sure we get the word out so the stigma concerning mental health will just be eliminated. People so many times feel like they cannot self-identify and tell you that they have a mental health issue because someone will think something is wrong with them.
Right. So what is mental health exactly? Give us an idea of what that is.
Well, mental health is basically you being healthy. It's your psychological, it's your behavioral, it's your emotional well-being. And so when we think about well-being, it's basically being healthy, being content, and being happy. Because when you are happy and when you are content and healthy, all of those things go together. So sometimes we think mental health only has to do with the mind, but it's holistic.
It's everything. Right. So what does it mean to have a mental illness?
So when you have a mental illness, there's impairment. So you have emotional impairment, which could be as a result of something that happened genetically or what have you, or it could just be because of life circumstances. And so when you start having impairment in functioning and the inability to maintain your daily life, then you should realize you have some type of mental health illness or something going on, and you need to seek help.
Right. So do you find a lot of people are just simply going through life coping with mental illness versus getting help for it or recognizing that there is a problem?
Correct. I think that particularly in the Black community, where we have been taught not to acknowledge mental health.
Right.
So therefore we learn that that's a part of us. And so we learn how to cope and how to compensate for that.
Right.
However, some mental illnesses you cannot compensate for, and without treatment it becomes very chronic and severe.
Right. Got you. So is there a specific cause for mental illness or causes, or what are some things that may contribute to that?
Okay, that's a great question, because people think, oh, it's something wrong with a person who has mental health. Granted, some mental health illnesses can be caused genetically or biologically. And that's why when you go to the doctor, sometimes even doctor offices are doing little mental health examinations and asking you about your family history with mental health, because you may be predisposed or predestined to have a mental health illness based on your family history. However, that's not the only way. It can be environmental or psychosocial situations or factors that also contribute, such as all of a sudden I thought I was in a great marriage and I was shocked and came home to divorce papers. And that sends people into a spiral, and emotionally they can't handle it, whatever it triggers, and now they go into having mental illness. It could be homelessness. It just can be a number of factors that can contribute to mental illness.
Right. So what are some of the warning signs that we maybe can look for, in our friends or ourselves that will give us some kind of inclination that we are suffering from?
I like to think about 5 factors. The first one being personality change. And it's not, people always think it's going to be sadness, but that's not necessarily the situation. But personality change, a change in their hygiene, them becoming very irritable, becoming withdrawn, and then also feeling hopeless. You can hear that in a person's conversation when their conversations change. You don't have to look hopeless to be able to be identified as hopeless. When you start saying things all the time about, nothing never works out for me.
Mm-hmm.
My life is terrible. And you just seem to always be in disaster mode.
Right.
Nothing is working.
Right, right.
You realize that a person has lost hope.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, when you're looking at those things, when you know your friend, like I said, it doesn't have to be just depression.
Mm-hmm.
Some people mask.
Right.
And when they mask, they always are hyper and bubbly.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that's out of character as well,
Right.
something's wrong.
Right.
Why is all of a sudden somebody's like, hey, good
Yeah.
morning, y'all.
Correct. Right.
Then now
Something
there's a
has happened.
problem, so you need to be tuned into those signs.
Right. So with you saying that, it brought up just a thought. We deal with a certain group of students, age group, and sometimes they project. They may be going through some situations or issues, and they don't know how to cope or deal with it. And so, what are some things, I guess, for parents, for faculty, for us as staff? How do we recognize those shifts in college students? Because they have a very drab, sometimes kind of sense of humor or way that they function. And so you just really don't know what it is that they're.
So in college students, faculty has a upper hand on this more than staff because you tend to also see a decline in their grades,
Right.
attendance. They may still be doing excellent in their grades, but then they're not showing up to class the way they used to.
Okay.
You may see them reposition themselves in the classroom. Maybe they were in the front, now they're moving to the back.
Right.
Different things like that happen. As staff, if we are around students all the time, again, we have to be observant. So it may not be loud, but you can watch body language. A lot can be told through body language. My mother used to always say, I hear what you're saying, but I'm watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, so it is as staff. If it's not personality and different things like that, then stop watching body language. Because when I'm feeling depressed and hopeless and those types of things, my body starts to move in a downward fashion.
Right.
I carry myself lower.
Right.
And it's funny that we don't pay attention to that. But when a person feels confident, just pay attention to people. Their shoulders are raised. They're up. They're ready. Eye contact is another thing. However, we must differentiate because we have international students.
Right.
Sometimes cultural differences do not allow people to look you in the eye.
Right.
So we need to be aware of that as well.
Right. I do want to do a little bit more. I think that's a population here that we really don't see. I know they engage a lot with our international office, but maybe helping them understand resources. I know there's a certain stigma with our international students, depending on their culture, and dealing with counselors and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
And so that's something that I really do want us to kind of look at a little bit more, how we can support them.
And that would be great. I mean, we have been supporting them, but most of them are referred through international services.
Right.
It's not that they will come independently on their own.
So what types of treatment are available and for our students, that may have family members, because that's another topic of discussion, how to, live with family members or persons with mental illness. But what are some of the resources or treatments that are available?
Okay, so as far as here on the campus, because I'm a licensed professional counselor, I'm able to offer cognitive behavioral therapy, which in turn is done during individual or group counseling. But I also use different modalities. So just as the treatment model, I can do individual or group counseling, but we also, there are also different things out here in the community for students. And I want to talk about that a little later, but let's focus on here right now. Also, I allow students to come in, and sometimes they need to just be able to have a safe place.
Right.
So I know COVID changed that a lot, but as we move forward, I hope to be able to social distance and allow a student to be able to come in and use a room to relax and use a room to color. Coloring is very therapeutic. And so I have coloring supplies for the students as well. On their own, if they don't want to come, because many students will never come to the counseling office. So I'm excited about the fact that yoga is coming to campus, as well as them having a sense of understanding meditation. Some say meditation, some say prayer. So staying connected. So if it is that you meditate, then okay. If you pray and you're interested in some of the organizations on campus that can help you develop that prayer life and all, you can seek that. So that's also another thing, staying connected with organizations. When you tend to start feeling low, you isolate. You should not break that connection. Exercising is sleep. Sleep is also a key thing for dealing with and treating mental health. Because we overlook sleep, but sleep is definitely important. And so the list can go on, aromatherapy, acupuncture, but traditionally, you should seek help from a professional.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, I invite you to come and visit the counseling center. And we try to make sure it's a very welcoming atmosphere so that you can come up here and visit us in King Frazier. Confidential. And we're in room 233, King Frazier.
And we also are fortunate to have the University System of Georgia Mental Health Initiative grant. Where we have Campus Christi Health on our Tiger Wellness webpage, where you can have access to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, counseling staff and neutral individuals. They do connect with us here on campus, but all of your dialogue and conversations with them is also confidential. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are like, oh, I gotta go tell all my business.
Exactly.
But trusting, licensed counselors, there's licensed counselors. They have a lot that they have to, go through to get the license and to keep it. And so confidentiality is one of the major things. And I know a lot of our students, have that leery, I don't want to do it because I don't want to tell them my business kind of thing. But everything is confidential. And
that is true. Many students will not. That's why I said they will not come. So I'm glad that Ms. Bradley remembered and mentioned Campus Christi, because that is definitely a resource that you don't have to see anyone. And if you choose to see someone in the community, then you definitely would have a resource. And I really encourage you, if it's not me, please just seek help. Help is not a bad four-letter word.
It's not a bad four-letter word. That's a great motto that we have here.
Yes.
So can people with mental illness recover?
Yes.
It's going to be that way?
You definitely can recover. If you put the right routine and also seek the treatment that is needed, you can recover. Some people, depending on their diagnosis, whether it's more severe or chronic, they may need medication, and they may need to see counselors on a more regular basis than what we traditionally offer here. But nevertheless, once they get their routine and medication stabilized, then they're able to live a productive life. Even those with less chronic, sometimes you need a boost, and you just need to allow the person that's reaching down to lift you up, to give you that hand. So just because you go to a counselor does not mean that, oh my gosh, you're crazy. That's what you all like to say. Or oh my gosh, you are just out of the game now and will never be successful. Sometimes just to get everything that you've been hiding and keeping suppressed out, it gives you such a relief, and now the weight is gone. And now you can begin to put your life back into perspective. And we do coaching as well. Sometimes it's academic coaching. Sometimes it's just talking to you about life and where you need to go next.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that we're sitting here all the time talking to you about you're depressed, you have bipolar, you're schizophrenic. No, it's not about that. Counseling is very well rounded, and so it's good to seek help.
Right. And so this is a common theme sometimes here on campus. I've had anger management when I was in high school, or
Yes.
I was seeking counseling when I was in high school, but I get here and I stop.
Mm-hmm.
What are the dangers, and why shouldn't a person stop? You know, sometimes their counseling or the therapy that they're receiving that has helped them move forward from a traumatic experience.
Well, the danger in stopping is if you were still utilizing those resources and you saw that they were working for you. You know, they always say if it's not broke, don't fix it. So why would you break it? You know, if it's working for you, continue to use it. Now, I know the fear is, well, I don't know the people here. I knew the people there, and I developed a relationship. And that's very true. But the only way you're going to know if you like a person or can work with a person is if you at least give it a try.
Right.
The dangers of stopping is that it then puts you back off balance, where you had that support, when you started to lean a little to the left or lean a little to the left, and someone was there to lift up your arms and then give you the balance again. You don't have that support anymore. And so now you come into a new atmosphere. So that's one stressor.
Right.
Around people you don't know, stressor number 2.
Right.
And you were the upperclassmen, and now you come and become the underclassmen.
Right.
That's stressor number 3,
Right.
because all your popularity and all the things
Social
you felt
clout.
you had going on, and that's gone now. So now when situations happen, you're wondering, why am I irritated? Why does this bother me? And you see your symptoms begin to surface again because you stopped. Another thing people tend to do is stop medication.
Right.
They just say, oh, I feel better. Well, of course, you were taking medicine.
Right.
So the medicine was balancing out those chemicals or whatever was going on in your mind, and now you were functioning without impairment. When you stop the medicine, it's a number of things can happen. You could go through withdrawal. You can also start feeling your symptoms intensify again to a point where you can't control it.
Right.
And now you're wanting to get on medicine again immediately, and it takes another 2 weeks to 30 days to start regulating you again. And then what happens to your classes? So you have to make sure that everything that you're doing, if it's not me, you're talking to your counselor back home, you're talking to your I don't know, whatever support, because everyone doesn't go to a therapist for anger management. You may go and take a certain class and have case managers or whatever. But be aware of that.
Yeah, you mentioned support groups here on campus that you offer through your office. Talk a little bit about how it may not necessarily be labeled as a support group, but like you said, organizations or different groups of people that you can utilize to be a support for you to recover.
Okay, so I want to start with our campus community and just talk about people who are on campus. We have the souls. We have our CAs and RDs. All of them have been trained, and you can go and talk to them. They are bound to confidentiality as well when they talk to you about your situations. However, they are not counselors, so don't get mad at them if they then try to guide you somewhere else. But they are trained. We also have an excellent resource. Tadaisha Sams Young, she also happens to be licensed, and she works in the residential as a capacity of supporting, educating, and being a resource for you also as far as linking you to what you need. I also want to talk about, if you see organizations that you're interested in, join them. You know, of course they have requirements that you have to fulfill, but that also would keep you motivated to do a good job in school,
Right.
to be involved in community service. Community service is another way that you continue to make yourself feel like you have a sense of purpose,
Right.
a sense of giving back.
Mm-hmm.
So getting engaged in community service opportunities here, those are ways to also keep your mental health going.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're looking for groups that's specifically targeting mental health, we have NAMI Savannah, and they offer groups all the time in different topics on mental health and mental illness. And the good thing about them too is they also understand how mental illness is not a my problem.
Right.
It's a system problem. So they understand that your family will be impacted. So they offer groups for the family as well.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So then if you're experiencing grief and loss, hospice, the Full Circle Center, they actually have individual counseling and groups for people who have experienced any type of grief and loss. So I think that's a good resource. And then another place, I know you all gonna tell me no, but I know because you come to my office and you also get caught in conduct. Recovery Place
Right.
offers
For addiction.
groups for addiction and
Right.
substance use, and some of you, I know this climate of COVID has changed you. Some of you just like to smoke marijuana, let's be real.
Right.
And others of you have started using it to self-medicate
Right.
and to help you cope. So Recovery Place is also another place, and that's just to name a few. Gateway has groups as well. So that's just to name a few places that offer community groups.
Right. Speaking of some of the organizations on campus, I know that I'm a support person for someone that, my family has mental health,
Yes.
mental illness. Active Minds.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about them and how, if I'm a person that, I have a friend or, I know someone and, I'm trying to help them, what could I do as an individual in that organization?
Okay. I don't know how I forgot Active Minds. Active Minds, I'm sorry. I love you.
Great
group. Great group. So Active Minds, they actually are a student-led group that their mission is to also eliminate the stigma of mental health and bring awareness concerning mental health. And so as members of that group, basically, they are always looking around, surveying, and looking at the same signs that I mentioned earlier in order to lead and direct you to resources so that you could obtain help. They also will be a listening ear. And so that is definitely a good person. If you meet anybody that's in Active Minds, they are definitely quality and good students. They have been trained. They are constantly being aware of what the national standards and organization upholds, and so they really follow guidelines for that as well. But as a regular student, I want to say that you too can help, because as I said, this is a campus-wide, this is a system-wide situation, mental health. So taking into consideration the signs that we talked about earlier, we listen to you too. You're out there. You see your friends change. You see people who look like, you might not even know them that well, but they starting to look a little strange to you. You don't have to tell somebody in fear that you're going to be exposed and they're going to say your name. No, you could tell them you don't want to be known, and so that we could reach out to the students. So you have a part as well, knowing the signs, recognizing the clues within your friends or anyone is the key to us all making sure our campus is mental health strong.
True. It's a full circle. The Savannah State community, from the president down, we're all interested and make sure that we are addressing and helping to educate the entire Tiger family on mental health. And today is one of those days.
Yes.
Mental Health Action Day. And so that's why I wanted to talk with you today to discuss, those support services and what are the signs and what we need to know about mental disorders or illness here in the Tiger family. What are some easy action steps that people can take today just to do self-care or to just, really, I want to do something for myself today on this Mental Health Action Day?
So, the first step is, as we say, mental health action, and that's the key word. You have to take action. So, taking a walk. Sit, if you're one of those people that say, oh no, I don't want to walk now. Don't tell me about walking and exercising. Although those are two good things to do. Maybe you just want to go sit in a park, sit in a gazebo, sit around a circle. Just those kind of things in which you are able to just sit down, relax, and just observe the environment without thinking about everything that's on your mind. Another thing is choosing today to eat right. A balanced diet. Now you probably look in and you can tell that I like to eat. So, but I know that a balanced diet and just increasing your water and increasing the nutritional value of your meals definitely helps you. So that could be the first step to you saying, hey, I want to take control of my life. Also, just doing something you like to do. So it doesn't even have to be therapeutic, quote unquote, although you don't realize that is therapeutic. So doing something you like to do, listening to music, taking the time to watch that favorite show that you've been so busy and you haven't watched, but doing something, intentionally investing the time in you.
Right. It's an investment. I love to do all kinds of arts and crafts. I have coloring books in my office as well.
I love
I'm working on a project that I've been working on forever. I finally finished spray painting so I can decorate it. But I got into diamond painting. It's like these little small crystals that you have to put on the color by numbers. But my baby sister's like, what in the world? I have to use my bifocals, but it really just kind of just blacks out everything else, and that's all I'm concentrating on. And I can feel my body less tense, and I'm just like relaxed. So by the time I finish, it's like, wow. Yeah, so I get lost. So anything that, like Dr. Martin said, that is going to be an investment in you. And I think that's one important thing that you said, and I like that. Invest in your own mental health.
Yes.
Sometimes you just have to just step back from people and things and just really just say, I'm going to be selfish today.
Yes.
Me. I'm going to take care of me.
Yes.
And so that's a part of taking action, just investing in yourself to do something for yourself. That means if you got to turn your phone off for a few minutes and not, talk to people for an hour. A lot of people, it's like, I can't turn my phone off. That leads you to some level of crisis.
Yes.
Especially young people, when their phone is broken or that leads to your stressors and can really put you in a bad space. So sometimes you just have to really use those apps on the iPhone. I know a lot of us are iPhone users, but use the app that monitors your social media time. That's a whole nother subject of how social media can really have an impact on your mental health. But like I said, today is the day to take action. We're so fortunate to be be in partnership with Christie Campus Health, MTV. A whole host of people are participating on this day, but we wanted to make sure that we spoke to our Savannah State Tiger family about mental health and how you can take action. And so thank you, Dr. Martin. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I wanted to add, when she brought up the apps, that's another thing. There's an app called the Calm app.
Oh,
and it's for relaxation and what have you.
Breathing.
Yes. So you all should check out the Calm app.
Right.
And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, yes.
And I said stay mental health strong, but as we said, it's a community. We want to stay tiger strong.
Stay tiger strong. Yes, so thank you everybody, and we look forward to more conversations throughout the upcoming academic year. Everyone, take care of yourself this summer. Don't forget to do self-care, and we'll see you all in the fall. Thank you.